All right, this is Kurt Franken with Fiddler Studios. Today we're taking a minute to uh, put all our work aside and take some time to educate ourselves on running a small business and doing so effectively. And tis the season to talk about taxes, and we know we love talking about taxes, and nothing more fun than getting your taxes ready and so forth. But nonetheless, it's a necessary evil, death and taxes. And so many small business owners are probably scrambling to gather information, organize it effectively, and get it to their CPA or figure out how to do it on their own, or everybody's got their method. I chose not to stand on the corner dressed as the Statue of Liberty shaking a sign, but rather to come to an expert who knows his stuff. And today I've asked Hal Rosen to take a few minutes, which is quite precious during tax season for a CPA, to stop what he's doing and talk to me online. But I feel like this information will be so beneficial for other small business owners to learn and to know, and so that they can make this as painless as possible getting ready for the tax season. So Hal Rosen runs Bagley & Rosen CPA firm, and he is quite knowledgeable, has 30 years plus experience working in the tax industry. He's also an entrepreneur, started his own multiple companies himself, understands what it's like being a small business owner. And luckily, Hal, I hope you brought your radio voice today, because Hal has been on the radio before talking about taxes, small business owners, QuickBooks, and those types of things. Finally, he's an awesome mountaineer. And he showed me a bunch of pictures that he's done out, or canyoneering, I should say. So if you have that interest, include Hal in your social networks and share your adventures there. So Hal, welcome. Anything I missed there that makes you special?
I don't know, Kurt. Thanks for the introduction. You were talking about the fun of doing taxes. Most people don't find taxes very fun, but you're right. It's a necessary evil, and it's a thing we've got to get done this time of the year. And you're right. We're up to our necks in it, but that's what we do every year this time of the year. So there's lots of things we can do. But as you mentioned, I've been an entrepreneur. I've started over a dozen companies. So I've been on that side of the desk. Plus, I've done public accounting, and with 35 years of experience in the business field, I think we add a lot to what our clients and what a lot of other tax preparers or CPAs don't add, because they haven't had that kind of experience.
Yeah, for sure. So, like you said, it's middle of tax season. If we see a fire start behind you and somebody running around with an extinguisher, it's just that time of year, so we'll just ignore it. But the main kind of the bread and butter of your business and the true value you bring to small businesses is that expertise in QuickBooks. And you're a QuickBooks Certified Pro Advisor. Is that the correct term for it?
That's right. And actually, myself and two of my staff are advanced certified pro advisors. Okay. Which means we've had to go through some extra testing and other things to get that, but it also shows the commitment of our office to help small businesses that use QuickBooks, which QuickBooks has an 85% plus market share, so most small businesses are using QuickBooks. Yeah,
so, and this wasn't just an additional 10-minute test you took online. I mean, they take a lot of experience. There's different levels to being certified with QuickBooks, and so if QuickBooks had a PhD, this is pretty much what it would be. Is that correct?
That's right. Yeah, you have to be certified for 3 years, and then you have to go through some pretty onerous testing to get through the advanced certification. And because of our experience, we've been able to go through it. A lot of people stumble at that point. Yeah. But QuickBooks is what we support in our office. We've got some clients that use other types of software, but that's really the only software that we support.
Yeah. Now, this is maybe a solution and a software that a lot of small business people are familiar with. It's an out-of-the-box solution, but also takes some customization depending on what business you're in. So maybe give us an overview of what QuickBooks is, how it works, and why a small business would need to use it.
Well, from a basic standpoint, it's an electronic checkbook. It's a way to invoice your clients, and some people simply use it for that. and for nothing more than that. Others get more involved because they're using inventory, and QuickBooks works well on some types of inventory and not on other types. If you've got a process inventory, for example, I once had a client that took raw materials and made styrofoam blocks that are used in theaters to muffle the sound, or in homes. QuickBooks was not a good fit for that inventory, although they used QuickBooks. They just had to run their inventory in a different system. But for a business that buys a widget and sells a widget, or buys 3 or 4 different widgets, puts it into one and sells it, QuickBooks works great for inventory that way. But QuickBooks does more. I mean, for example, I run all my credit card processing through my QuickBooks. I don't have a little machine or anything that way. It's all done online. So that's a benefit. I receive payments through QuickBooks. Clients, when they get my invoice, have got a little link where they can pay online, and that comes to me. So that's an added tool that's come in the last couple of years. That's really been a nice feature. More and more people are wanting to be electronic. I actually mail very few of my invoices or statements. Almost all of it's done through email. So QuickBooks has really improved over the years. I've used it since DOS version 1 in the early 90s, and it was kind of just a spin-off of the program Quicken at that point. And I've used Quicken for probably 30 years. It's a great personal finance program. But QuickBooks has just really improved, and it's a dynamite program at a very low cost that really does help a business run their business if it's used right. And it's got, I think, 144 built-in reports. You can customize more reports. But part of the problem I see is lots of businesses aren't using that reporting feature, and so we kind of help clients sort that down, and don't let the 144 reports scare you. I don't use 144. But there's probably a half a dozen that I use constantly, and there's one I look at every day in running my business, because I want to see where I'm at, month to date. I want to see where I'm at compared to last year. I want to see if business is up or down, and I want to look at different categories, because we offer different services. We look at how much we're running in bookkeeping, or how much we're running in QuickBooks consulting, or how much in payroll services, or how much in tax preparation services. So QuickBooks can be customized to really meet the needs of the business. And we've got some clients that have got some very customized QuickBooks that we're helping them out with that aren't typical. And we've seen lots of QuickBooks in lots of different companies, so we've got that experience that way. Years ago, I used to teach on a regular basis QuickBooks training classes, and part of that class I'd go out and spend a half hour on site with each attendee. So I've seen a lot of different setups and a lot of different things that are out there.
So maybe give us a few examples of some of those reports that are available. What are some of the most valuable that a small business owner would benefit from in order to make business decisions?
Well, the ones that I most commonly use, the one that I've always got on my system up is a profit and loss. But I look at it by month, and I look at it compared to the prior year month. And so I'm always looking at comparative financial statements, and that's what a lot of people I don't think do. By looking at comparative, that I can see trends. So that profit and loss is a real important one for me. The balance sheet's another important one. If I go in to look at a client's business or a new client's business, probably the first thing I'm going to do is pull up a comparative balance sheet and look to see, are things in balance, or what do things look like. And once again, I'm looking at trends so I can see what's changed over time or what's happening. Probably the other common ones that we use are accounts receivable, both detail or summary reports. Too many businesses don't collect money on time, and or don't cash the money on time. I just had a check I paid to a vendor that was back 3.5 weeks ago, and it just cleared the bank. I think every business ought to be making deposits at least weekly, and many times several times a week. That impacts cash flow, but looking at those reports, I think you can get a feel. For some businesses, the vendor report is important, and what bills do you owe? It's kind of interesting how business has changed. In mine, you don't see much that way because most everything gets paid with a credit card, and it's often set up on an automatic thing, so it saves us having to write checks, mail checks. It just automates our business, and even when I pay the credit card, that's all done online, and done once a month. So there's little tricks like that. So, but for some businesses, accounts payable is a big deal, and so that accounts payable report and an aging report are really important. But then, depending on the business, we typically will customize reports that'll match something that they need. In my own case, for example, I look at unbilled time report because that's what we do. We bill time, and that gives me an idea of where I'm at during the month or who I need to be billing. For another business, it may be an entirely different set of circumstances, but we'll look at that business and help them with those reports. And there's another trick is, let's say there's 4 or 5 reports that a business owner ought to be looking at. He doesn't have to go in and learn how to pull all those up. We can set up a group that he presses a button and bang, he gets all of them at once. I worked with a consultant about 10, 12 years ago, and his thing was 5-minute books, and using those 5 reports that the owner should look at on a daily basis to run his business. And simply, it's a real simple thing to set those up. And one click, and you've got all 5 reports, or how many ever you want.
Wow. So that's a good example of maybe how someone would fail to customize QuickBooks in that fashion and miss out on some of the valuable reports that are available to them. Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, good. So I'm the type of person where there's so many online tools. There's so many softwares out there to help. Even outside of bookkeeping and taxes and things. So I generally like to get my feet wet a little bit before I really commit to a system. So how would you suggest someone get started with QuickBooks, and so they can become more familiar with it and really understand for themselves that this is a valuable software to use?
In the past there have been free trials where you could do something or try it for 30 days, and QuickBooks actually has what we call QBO, QuickBooks Online, which I believe offers that type of a free trial, 30-day trial, that somebody could go in. Now, that online version is different than what most QuickBooks are on a desktop, although it's a growing and improving option, and I like the option because it is online, which means we as accountants can access it. They don't have to be transferring files, and so that could be a way to do it. But the way to really think about it is QuickBooks is first of all, it's kind of like just maintaining a check register. If you write personal checks and you're writing down what you've got, when in QuickBooks, that check register is going to look an awful lot like your manual one that you've maintained for years. And QuickBooks uses forms like that are typical. You get a bill from a vendor, you invoice a customer, and you work off of these forms. And so it's really pretty intuitive for most people, but the issue is to get it set up right, and I think that's where somebody like our firm that could go in and we spend 2 hours helping set up your QuickBooks and giving you some basic training. We found that could save you 30, 40, 50 hours or more. I just looked at QuickBooks last week that somebody did not get any training, and it was mind-boggling what they'd done with it, and they probably spent more than 1,000 hours entering stuff. And quite frankly, it all needs to be done again because it's just all wrong. They just didn't understand what they needed to do. And where some people struggle is, as I talked about, balance sheet and profit and loss. Lots of non-accountants don't understand those forms, and they tend to put things that should be on your profit and loss on the balance sheet and things that should be on the balance sheet on the profit and loss. One of the beauties of QuickBooks is most of the things we can fix. This one I looked at last week can't be fixed. It really needs a major overhaul, but generally we can fix those mistakes. But if you get it set up right, it'll save you a lot of time and money down the road.
So the reality is one, you've got to keep track of what's your business bookkeeping somewhere. QuickBooks is a good resource to do that, but not only that is to consult a professional like yourself to make sure that at the beginning it's set up, and then you avoid a lot less pain in the future. That's
correct. And then the key is use it to run your business. I see people that even with QuickBooks, they'll put all their stuff in, but they aren't looking at the reports. They aren't analyzing how they're doing, or why did last month go down in sales, or why is this month up in sales? What can we do to have sales go better or go up, or what were we not doing right when the month the sales were down? I mean, some businesses are cyclical, but you need to use that information, and so that's how we can help business owners that don't really have that background understand what to look for. I can sit down with them in a 10 or 15-minute session oftentimes, show them what I look at. If I'm looking at their business, what I'm looking at, I think out loud, and teach them things that I've learned over 35 years. And a lot of it goes back to my auditing days in the late 70s when I worked for one of the big, at that time, big 8 CPA firms, and did a lot of audits of companies, and I learned a lot of tricks of things to look for. They need to be using some of those same things in analyzing their own companies.
Wow. So just like if you get a website, you should never try and build your own website on your own if you want it to be effective. You should never, you could talk with me, that's what I'm saying. But in the QuickBooks world, you shouldn't never really dive in too deep before consulting somebody who can show you the tricks of the trade and help you avoid mistakes. So let's transition maybe to more of, we're in the tax season, and so what sort of value does QuickBooks bring when it comes around to tax time or to paying your quarterlies and those types of things?
It makes it go a lot easier, and we love our clients that use QuickBooks. It makes whether we're doing quarterly payroll taxes or we're doing income taxes or we're doing year-end projections, it makes everything go so much easier. Tax preparation, it will save you a lot of money there because we don't have to spend as much time on clients whose QuickBooks are clean. And typically what we'll do is we'll help clients on, sometimes it's monthly or quarterly, preferably not more often, not less often than quarterly. But if we're going through either on a monthly or quarterly basis with clients, then their books are pretty clean. We've reviewed it. We've helped them with some of the journal entries and things they don't know how to make, and they really never will know how to make. That's not their business. But that's what we can help them with. So we get to the end of the year, lots of our clients, as soon as they've got their December bank statement and it's reconciled, we say, get your QuickBooks, and we, except for this year when Congress didn't act till January 1, we're doing business returns and have them done before the end of January, before the individual return season hits. And that helps them in knowing and predicting where they're going to be. One of the things I've heard from lots of new clients is on April 14th, my CPA told me I owed $50,000 in tax the next day. Well, most people don't have $50,000 to pay the next day. Yeah. My clients, particularly my business clients, we've met in November, December. We've looked at where they were. We've projected where they're going to be, so there aren't surprises. So if they're going to owe a bunch of tax, they know it, and they've got some time to prepare. That's one of the beauties of having QuickBooks is we can make accurate projections in doing that.
Wow, that sounds like a great setup to not have to spend hours and hours at the end of the year or things preparing that. And what would you say on a daily or a weekly basis? How long, if a business owner has QuickBooks set up and it's customized, they've consulted with you and make sure that it's customized correctly, how much on a daily basis would someone need to spend with QuickBooks in order to keep it updated and so forth?
Kurt, that really varies on the business.
Okay.
Some small businesses, they may spend an hour a week or 2 hours a week. Others have full-time clerical staff or an office manager that also does all their QuickBooks that works full-time. And so they're constantly doing stuff in that. We offer services where we actually send some of our employees in to do that for businesses. And we've got one that we have an employee in there 3 to 4 hours every day. We've got others where maybe in there 3 to 4 hours twice a week. So it really varies on the business.
Okay. So how about just in general with taxes? What are some mistakes you're seeing a lot of business owners making? What would be valuable for small business owners to know as tax codes change or whatever going into this tax season?
Well, the biggest mistake they make is they fail to plan.
Mhm.
You can't walk in, on March 1st to get your taxes done and say, okay, I want to do some planning for last year. That doesn't work. There's a couple things you can still do. You can still fund an IRA or, maybe a SEP IRA or a simple IRA. You can still fund an HSA account. But most of the things you've missed out on. We need to be planning well in advance. And I tell people, hey, we're busy with taxes through April 15th, but May is a great time to be planning for the rest of the year and looking at what can we do. And that'll vary. That may be asset acquisitions and taking some bonus depreciation. It may be retirement planning. It may be the way you structure your entity. And some of that's got to even done sooner. We've got, if you want to be taxed as an S Corp, you've got to make that decision the first 75 days of the year. So I've got 2 or 3 clients that right now are looking at, do we want to switch how we're taxed? And we've got to make that decision before March 15th. But you've got a plan, and that's where we try to do a proactive planning with clients. We actually will do up a tax plan, but we just don't do up a manual, that's got 50 pages of here's suggestions and things you do that most clients will stick on their bookshelf. They're too busy doing what they're doing. We'll actually help them implement the things that they need to implement that'll save them taxes.
Great. Awesome. So in general, what your CPA firm, what sort of services do you provide, and how do they benefit small business owners?
Well, we've talked about QuickBooks, and that's obviously a big one. And along with that, then we do business tax returns, and we do individual tax returns for those owners. But we've got a lot of clients that aren't business people, but we do their individual tax returns. Kind of a unique set of ones is I do taxes for people across the country. Many people I've never even met. And people say, well, why do you do those? Well, one of the niches we've done over the years is home office deduction. Lots of tax preparers are scared of that deduction. They think that's a red flag that's going to bring an audit, and they just won't do that. And that's why I've got all these clients across the country, is because they have a home office. When it's done right, when you follow the rules, I've never had that audited. I've never had a problem with it. But I've told lots of clients they can't do this or they can't do that because they want to claim their whole house and things like that. That doesn't work. You've got to follow the rules. But if you follow the rules, it's safe. So we do those individual tax returns. For our business owners, we'll also do payrolls, or many of them run their own payrolls, but we do their quarterlies for them and help them out and do their W-2s and their 1099s at the end of the year. One of the other services that's not as common, but we seem to run into it oftentimes with business sales or sometimes with divorce situations, is we'll do business valuations. We're not business valuation experts ourselves, but we work with a couple of firms that are, but we help, because we're familiar with the client, we help put all the data in and get them that they need that to get the business valuation. So that's, I'm trying to think if there's more things, but that's generally what we do.
Okay. And obviously there's a lot of value in having a firm like you do that to make sure that you don't waste more time in the future by trying to do it yourself or those types of things. So obviously you can see Hal's website under his name. Any other ways you would recommend they contact you, or are you, though you're busy right now, I'm sure you're still taking new clients in this busy tax season?
We are taking new clients, and you mentioned, our firm's name is Bagley & Rosen CPAs. Kevin Bagley just joined me last month, so we're growing and taking on new clients, and glad to talk to people. They can reach us, like you mentioned, at our website, or they can call our office at 801-288-1222.
And you're in Murray, Utah area, so if they want to walk in the door too, that's an option. Is that right?
That is. So lots of our clients are here, but with this world of technology,
yeah.
We've serviced clients really around the world. I've had clients that, because of various things, have moved, and they've been in China, they've been in Chile, they've been in Germany, they've been in Peru, been in Afghanistan, and so we're still able to help them because of the wonderful world of technology that's out there. So we're not limited to just our area, but can help clients all over.
Cool. Well, great, Hal. This has been extremely helpful for me as a small business owner, and I know those that watch this will benefit from it as well. I encourage you to touch base with Hal and his associates there at his firm, and they will help guide you with the various tools like Quicken and the secrets that he's learned over the years to effectively run a business in order to make good business decisions and continue on to success. So thanks for watching.